love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up, it's time to look at the enemy.
Yes, people, Ricky here from Behind the Bars TV and Ruthless Fitness Office. A lot of you that have been with us from the start, I'll know that when I used to do my videos, I used to do a lot of my videos from in here in my office at my gym. But this morning I just thought I'd do a little video. I've got a bit spare time. I thought instead of going to my studio, I'll do it here in the office. So if anyone comes to the counter, because like I say, this is my office here. This is where I serve people when they're coming into the gym. So do excuse me if anybody comes and interrupts us. But getting a little bit of a quiet time this morning. So I've decided to do a video on a few different topics, just talking about my channel, about what I'm doing now. It's actually fight night eve. I've got my fight tomorrow. So today is just like a total rest day for me, the day. Do a little bit of shadow boxing, but nothing strenuous, keeping all my energy for tomorrow. But surprisingly, I thought I would have been a lot more nervous leading up to it, but I'm actually all right. I think a lot of it is down to the fact that I'm not really asked about the outcome. Meaning, what I'll explain what I mean by that. Obviously, I'm going in there to win, but in my mind, win, lose or draw, I'm happy with the outcome. I'm not going to be disappointed in myself if I don't win. I'm not going to be fucking pissed off. I'm not going to be gutted. I've trained hard enough. I'm ready for it. I'm going in there to get the win. Hopefully the next time I make a video on this, it'll be about the win. But like I say, I'm happy with any result, whichever result it is, if you know what I mean. But I'm going to, like I say, I'm talking about a few different topics. And obviously prison related as well, because it's behind the bars. But when I've got a lot of me branding, like behind the bars, me book, I'll just show you it now. A lot of you'll see, because I always put on the end of me videos, behind the bars, Ruthless Fitness, what I wrote whilst I was in prison. But the branding behind the bars, I've got a few things set up. I've got Behind the Bars Education, which is another one of my businesses where I'm running different courses in my gym. I'm doing PT courses, but I'm soon to be doing in the next few weeks mental health courses, CSCS courses, so people in the local area and surrounding areas can come in and get educated. The latter courses that I've just mentioned are actually free. The PT courses are also a government-funded thing, so anyone can actually take part in them, even if you're in full-time employment. If you meet the threshold of the pay, you only have to pay back a certain amount a month. But getting back to what I meant by Behind the Bars, I've got the book, I've got me separate business, Behind the Bars Education, and my mental health group that I do on a Wednesday with the lads is called Behind the Bars Support Group. So I'm actually expanding on a few things. Next year, things will be going bigger and better. I'm getting more things in the pipeline, just reaching out and actually helping more people. Because what I'm doing at the minute, when I wrote the book, I wrote it to actually help prisoners, but the book is actually for everybody. It's people feeling like prisoners trapped in their own thoughts. And Behind the Bars TV, obviously I forgot to mention that as well. That's got my YouTube channel, which is another business now, which is generating income, Behind the Bars TV. But Behind the Bars isn't just about being in prison. It's about mental health. It's about behind the bars in your head, these bars up here, and breaking through them barriers and bettering yourself and creating a better future. Because everyone is capable of bettering their lives and having a better future. But what I will say about having a better future and a better outlook on life and being in a positive mindset, it just sets you up for a whole better lifestyle. When you're thinking positively, you're training, you're working out, you're doing good things, it just makes you feel good about yourself. And another thing, what I try to get through to a lot of people that come to me gym and come to me mental health group, which is why I am the way I am now, is don't Didn't be bothered about what people think of you. That was the biggest thing for me. I just always used to be bothered about reputation, about what people thought of us, the way people perceived us. But now, I don't give a shit. The things I'm doing, like I'm helping people, I'm reaching out, people will be looking at saying, oh, why is he doing that? But I'm not asked about what them think. All I'm bothered about is what I'm doing, about myself, about my happiness, about making me and my family happy. If anyone is not behind us and people don't support us, then that's their problem. I'm doing good things, and that's making me feel good about myself. But like I say, when I'm reaching out to people, or people's reaching out to me, sorry, when I'm offering me help, it's making me feel good, and that's what I feel good doing it. Obviously, the lifestyle I used to live when I was inflicting, what will I say, inflicting or doing bad things and making people unhappy, and like when I was the crimes that I went to prison for and stuff, what I inflicted on other people, the lifestyle I was living, I used to think it was big, think it was clever, but it's not. You're just inflicting pain on yourself as well as others. But it's not the way to be. Once you find happiness in your life and you move on, you'll see you'll see things from a different light. Because it's normally not until you get into your 30s. When you're in your 20s, if you've been brought up on rough estate, you haven't had a good upbringing, or you just didn't give a fuck when you were a kid, you didn't get told off, you enjoyed getting into mischief, you're thinking that was big and clever. Like I say, in your 20s, you're not asked. You just do it, you get on with it, you do your jail. But it's when you get into your 30s, when you have a family, you've got kids, you've got things to lose, that's when you start to reevaluate your life and you realize, like, I wish I knew this sooner. Or if you knew this in your 20s or when you were younger and then you got into a good mindset, then the possibilities are endless. Look at what I'm doing now. I'm in my 30s. If I'd done it in my 20s, I would have been a very wealthy person by now. I know that for sure because I'm properly business minded and I've done business courses while I was in prison. So I'm always thinking of ways to make money, and that's making it legitimately. This is what I'm trying to teach the younger kids, to get in a better mindset from a young age, because if you wait until you're, like I say, until you're my age, you've lost out on all that livelihood in your 20s when you could have done it then. So if I can get through to the young ones now, let them know prison's not big, it's not clever, it's not glamorous, then it'll all be worth it, because that's what I'm trying to do. I've actually got a meeting next week with a school that has naughty kids that have been kicked out of mainstream school, and they've went into this school, and they're going off the rails. They haven't got no proper guidance. They're getting into trouble with the police, and they're thinking that it's clever, and they're not asked about prison. But hopefully, once I've had this meeting with the bosses, I'll get in there and I'll be able to talk to the kids, teach them a few things that I wished I knew when I was that age. But like I say, it's all about knowledge and passing it on to others. Because what's the point in getting into your 30s, you've bettered your life, but then you're just sitting there and doing it all for you, all you, instead of passing it on? Why don't you go out there and pass on your knowledge, better other people's lives, let them have a better lifestyle, instead of just doing it for yourself? Because like I say, I've done good things for myself now, but I'm passing my knowledge on to the younger kids, the kids that come into the boxing class, the ones that come in, do weightlifting, cardio and stuff. I talk to them and try and talk sense into them, because it's only going to lead one way. If you're getting into the street life and you're just being daft, taking drugs, drinking, fighting, you're just going to end up in prison or end up seriously hurt. But hopefully I'll be able to help cut all of that out and get them try and get them into employment, try and get them into a decent job, decent living. The families are going to be proud of them when they see they're doing good things. And that's what it's all about. You didn't realise until you're older. It's not about the street life. It's not about everybody else. It's about your family at home, the ones that are suffering. Obviously, you've got your brothers, not that you've been pals with all your life, and they're the ones that you've met along the way that you're going to stick by and they're always going to be there. The decent ones, the good ones, the ones that you'll always stick by. That's always going to be there. You'll always have that. Like I say, a family life, you'll realise when you get into your 30s or when you settle down, have kids, you'll realise that that's what it's all about. It's about your kids. I've hurt my kids, I've hurt my wife by me going back into prison and getting recalled. And it's not a nice thing seeing them back at home suffering. Obviously, you suffer, you're making other people suffer by the things that you've done, ending up back in prison. And like I say, it's not nice seeing people suffer because of what you've done. When you're in the mindset, when you're on drinking drugs, you're not arsed, you don't think about any of that. But when you get into prison, as long as you keep clean when you're in prison and you don't take drugs, you get in the mindset, especially when you're on 23-hour lockdown a day, you've got that much time to think. And then you're thinking about your loved ones back home and you're in there suffering in prison, can't do nothing, feeling helpless, you can't get out, and your loved ones are back at home suffering because of what you've done. I had 4 young kids under the age of 10, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 6-year-old, and an 8-year-old, all wanting the dad back. But I couldn't come back because I'm IPP as well. I couldn't tell them when I was coming home. I had no release date. And that for me was the worst thing possible. That's what made me reevaluate my life and think like, right, how can I make sure I don't fuck up again and end up back in prison and make my kids suffer? Sitting in prison and your loved ones are back home suffering, that's when you hit an all-time low. I was at my lowest when I was in there. Couldn't get out. I was in lockdown. I used to speak to my kids back at home, and my 2 youngest kids, 2 and 3-year-old, didn't really understand. Obviously, I had to tell them I was at work because I couldn't tell them I was at prison because they were too young to understand that. And I didn't want them thinking prison was good. Oh, my dad's been to prison. I want to go. So they thought I was at work. When I was stuck in there, I told my kids I was at work. My 2 oldest kids, obviously 6 and 8-year-old, they were a bit wiser, so I had to tell them. And they realised where I was. So I had to be honest with them, up and honest, and tell them I was in prison. But I teach them the ways that they should be taught. I don't glamorise prison to my kids. I don't tell them it's big and clever. But getting back to what I was saying, I got sidetracked because, like I say, I'm in the office and people's coming and going, waving at us, telling us they're going. When I was at my lowest point in prison, when I tried to tell me 2 youngest kids, when they were asking me, when you're coming home, Dad? If you're at work, why can't you tell us? And that for me was at my lowest point. But if you're strong and you're strong-willed, good-minded, when you're at your lowest point, there's only one way, and that's up. When you're right down there at rock bottom, there's only one way, and that's back up. So for me, once I started climbing back up gradually, putting things into place in my head, starting to feel better physically and mentally, more so mentally, because we're in lockdown, 23 hours a day. We didn't get long out of our pads. But every time I went out, I went on the yard, and I was out in the yard, rain, snow, everything. It didn't stop me. Every day I was out there doing circuits. There was no gym, so I was on the yards doing circuits every day, and that's when I started coming up with the idea of writing my book. And I wrote my book, Behind the Bars, Ruthless Fitness, and it teaches you how to get fit with no equipment needed. But also, that would be, if you've got a loved one in prison, or you've got someone that's suffering with mental health, get that book, people. It's on Amazon, and it will definitely boost the mental state as well as physically. It talks about mental health in the book, how to better yourself. It talks about nutrition. It's packed full of everything, and it's easy to understand. I wrote it in simple terms just for the likes of prisoners. A lot of them didn't get proper education. They didn't go to school. They can't read and write properly. And it's easy to understand. It's got illustrations inside, how to demonstrate to do every single exercise in the gym and every single bodyweight exercise with no equipment needed. So get yourself on Amazon and get that book bought, people, for your loved ones. It'll definitely improve the lifestyle. But yes, so getting back to what I was saying, when you're at your lowest point, there's only one way up. And if you want a better life for yourself, you will get it. You've just got to go out there and get it. You've got to work for it. It's not going to come easy. You can't just sit and think about a good life and it's going to come to you. You've got to work for it. If you haven't got a job, get out there, go job hunting, get yourself a job. There will be a job available. There's something out there for everybody. Even if you've got to start off at the bottom with a shit job, get at it. And whilst you're in that job, look for a better job, because you've got more chance of getting a better job whilst you've already got a job. Get to the gym, improve your lifestyle, physically and mentally. If you didn't want to get into a gym yet, just go for long walks, go for jogs, get yourself fit. Forget about what you think people might be thinking of you when you step into the gym, because people aren't bothered about what you're doing. They're bothered about what they're doing. Everyone's there for their everybody's there for themselves. So just get in there, get active, and do something positive. Boost yourself physically and mentally and improve your lifestyle. Don't just sit around thinking it. Like I say, you've got to work for it. It's not going to come free. Nothing in life that's worth having comes free. I've grafted my arse off every day since I got out of prison, and I'm making a steady income for myself. So that's my advice to you people. Get out there and work for it. And all the young ones watching, it's no good sitting in jail thinking that you're a big gangster. Oh, I've been to jail, I'm getting out, I'm going to tell me pals, I can't wait to get out and party. No, mate, you're in the wrong lifestyle. You're in the wrong mindset. Get out of it. Go and do something good with your life. You're at a young age and you're just going to waste yourself away sitting, getting stoned or getting pissed. I done it myself when I was young, and I just wished I got into boxing when I was a kid. I did little bits of boxing training, nothing major, never had no fights. But I just wish I'd done it when I was younger. But like I say, it's never too late. That's why I'm doing it now. Just to take that off my bucket list. It's just something that I'm doing for my own satisfaction and my own mindset. That's going to make me feel good, self-satisfaction. Can't beat it. But anyways, people, I think I might wrap that one up for now, because I'm going to have to get cracking, because there'll be more people coming in the gym soon. I've just had a little bit of a quiet time. But if you do want to buy that book, I'll put the link in the description. And get yourself active, get yourself fit, in a positive mindset. Do something good with the rest of your life. But stay tuned, people. There'll be more stories coming up. And if you're liking the content, remember to like and subscribe. Stay safe, people.